Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to our series of Ramadan Reflections for 2025, and our theme, The Soul's Path Home, Divine Wisdom on Death and Beyond, where we continue to reflect on the stages of death from the perspective of the Quran and the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt. May God's peace and blessings be upon all of them. Now, in today's episode on the 14th day of this blessed month of Ramadan, we continue from where we left off yesterday at looking at the final journey, the funeral and the burial, and delving into the final journey of the deceased. That is the preparation of the body for the funeral and the burial. Now, what are the preliminary steps at the time of death? Although there are many things that come before what we will mention today, such as ensuring that we have drafted a comprehensive will, making sure that the person that is in the last stages of life is turned so that they're facing the Qibla, and many other things that are both recommendations and perhaps obligations. We're going to skip over those practices in this series, and you can refer to the various books that are available that highlight the rules and the regulations. Let me begin, however, from this point, at the point of death. As we mentioned, and as we know that once a member of our faith has passed away, a series of actions need to be taken place. Now, many of these should be performed by the family. However, we also realize that while in a state of shock and grief, it can be difficult for them to navigate the process of preparing their loved ones for burial. Now, this is where our masajid, our religious centers, our local communities, and the burial committees which they have in place, this is where they step in to play that crucial role of ensuring that the deceased is prepared in the ways governed by Islam to make their journey onwards. And it starts with the washing of the body, again, after all of the other preliminaries have taken place. Now, I must point out here that although we have committees and groups that handle the burial process and the preparation of the body, however, according to the Islamic rulings, the guardian of the deceased is actually obligated to perform these actions: the ghusl, the kafan, the hunoot, the salat, and the burial. If for whatever reason they can't do it, they can appoint someone to help them, or they can appoint somebody to do it on their behalf. However, we should realize that we should never place this responsibility on others when it is our personal obligation. However, given the facts that not everyone knows the process of the preliminaries of burial, as it's not really something we study and practice often, we're fortunate that our local communities have dedicated volunteers that step in and to support the family at these troubling and very difficult times. It also should be noted, however, that if the guardian cannot or refuses to discharge his or her duties, then it becomes an obligation upon everyone in the community that has heard of the death to assist. And if a group of people volunteer to help out, then everybody else in the community is relieved of their responsibility. However, if nobody assists, then all are equal sinners in the eyes of Allah. So as we said, what the first step is, it is to prepare the deceased for the burial, which is the performing of the ghusl, that is the washing of the body. Now in Islam, we know that the body is washed 3 times with 3 types of water. Water mixed with a small amount of sidr, of lotus leaves, water mixed with some camphor, and then a third washing with pure water. Now there are some profound hadith on the topic of the ghusl available in our books. I'm going to share just one with us today as this reflection for the blessed day of the month of Ramadan. In this hadith, it's related by Abdullah ibn Sanan, who relates that Abu Abdullah, that is the 6th Imam, peace be upon him, said, "Whoever gives a deceased Muslim the ghusl and takes care of his trust, Allah will forgive him his sins. Abdullah asked the Imam, how does he take care of his trust? The Imam, peace be upon him, replied, he does not inform others of what defects he has seen on the person's body. Now it goes without saying that the individuals performing the ghusl, whether they're family or friends or the burial committee, they must never divulge what they see on the deceased body, whether this be scars, wounds, tattoos, piercings, etc. These are all private matters that you cannot divulge to anyone. And to do so is regarded as a sin. We must protect the integrity of a believer in death, just as we do so during their lifetime. We then follow up the washing with the shrouding, the kafan, on the deceased. After the ghusl, the body is shrouded in a simple white cloth, what we call again a kafan. The simplicity of the kafan symbolizes the humility of the human being in front of Allah. We're reminded that in the end, we will all be dressed the same, regardless of our worldly achievements, our wealth, or our social status. It's just like when we perform the umrah or the hajj and we don the white ihram, removing all socio-economic classes. Death also becomes the ultimate equalizer. All Muslims, regardless of who they were, what nationality they came from, they're all wrapped in the same white cloth and buried in the same grave structure. No one has preference over another. Now the hadith that speak about the kafan are powerful as well. Let's reflect in this blessed day of the month of Ramadan on just one tradition. In the hadith, is reported to have come to us from Imam Muhammad al-Baqir, peace be upon him, where he has been quoted as saying, someone who takes upon the responsibility of purchasing and giving a believer a kafan is just as the person who took the responsibility of clothing that person until the day of resurrection. The next act, which we'll touch upon before we conclude for today, is that of the hunoot. Now, this hunoot is again a very unique act done within the practice of Islam. It's done after the ghusl has taken place, but before the kafan, or even after the kafan is put onto the deceased. And in the act of hunoot, we apply camphor onto 7 parts of the body: the forehead, both the palms, both the knees, both the big toes, and as a recommendation on the tip of the nose. You'll notice that these are the same parts of the body that are placed on the ground during sajda. And as a recommendation, we're actually also permitted to add some of the dirt of the grave of Sayyid al-Shuhada, Imam al-Husayn, peace be upon him, to this camphor. A symbolic gesture of the desire that if we were with him in Karbala and we were martyred with him, that our bodies too would have been coated in the blessed sand of that blessed land. As we've gone over our self-imposed time limit for today, I want to end our discussion here. We're going to have to continue this for another day. And in our next episode, tomorrow, we are going to have to take a pause to reflect on the life and the contributions and celebrate the birth of our second Imam, Imam Hassan ibn Ali al-Mujtaba. May God's peace and blessings be upon both of them. God willing, we're going to continue our exploration on the journey of death and beyond the day after tomorrow. So stay tuned for that as we continue the process of the preparation of the body and then the burial. Until tomorrow and our next day of Ramadan Reflections, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.